Okay, so since today we're going to be working on writing expressions on page 30, go ahead and flip to page 30. Now let's talk about how to cut and fold this little flip book. Okay, we're going to be starting on that front page that says translating phrases into expressions and equations. I know. Well, all of those little words that you can't read, it doesn't really matter because they are just other words that say hello in other languages. Like I believe that's German, that's Spanish, that's Italian. I don't know what that is. That's French. No, this one, I think it says hello, which is German, I believe. Doesn't that say A instead of E, though? This is German? Oh, so this is E? I thought it said A. Oh. Good evening. Okay, but anyway, for what we're doing today, this is pointless anyway, so it's okay that you can't read it. Okay, I can translate word phrases into algebraic expressions and equations. Now, problems, or what these problems look like, is something like this. 6 less, yep, you write whatever I write. 6 less than twice a number. Okay, another example of what these problems look like is something like this, a phrase like the sum of a number and 5. Okay, so today we're going to be learning to take these from phrases, from words, and write them as algebraic expressions and equations. Now, the reason we need this is because it is a building block skill for writing equations from word problems. Okay, now that you have that page filled in, you'll go ahead and open it up to the page that says how to translate expressions and equations. Maybe something else, I don't know. Okay, and we'll be looking at this page, but as we look at it, we are also going to be using this part that we cut, in half a while ago, and we're going to be filling them in, these blocks, according to what the words mean. So, starting with addition, what are some words from over here in this list that mean addition? Okay, Ty, sum, plus, total of, added to, increase by, gotta write really small. Okay, so we use sum, we use plus, we use increase combined in all. We use combine, we use total of. What about all together? That's addition. added to, we used and. And is also a word that we could use for addition. Yes, more than. I'll have to try to stick it up here because I've run out of room. Okay, more than also means additional. Like if I say I have 5 more than she does, then I would add 5 to her total. And then I would know how many I had. Okay, so those are some words that mean addition. Now let's talk about some words that mean subtraction from that list. Decrease by. Right? Minus, difference, less than. I heard all of those. Okay, so we got decrease by, we got minus, we got less than, we got difference. Okay, subtract. Fewer than. Reduce by, yes. So if I want to say I want to reduce my spending by $500 a month, I would need to subtract $500 from my spending budget, right? So that means subtraction. Okay, there's another word up there that also means subtraction. What do you think? Which one is it? From. Like if you say take 5 from 7, isn't that 7 minus 5? Okay, so those are words that mean subtraction. Now let's talk about words that mean multiplication. Times. What else? Per. Okay, what else? Multiply by. Product. Okay, product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Oh, we already used it. Yeah, I didn't cross it out. Okay, another word is of. Of can be used for multiplication. Like if I say 1/4 of x, you would do 1/4 times x. Okay, now for division. What are some words that mean division? Divided by, split, quotient, per, even though it was used for multiplication, per can also sometimes be used for division. Like meters per second squared. Okay, that would be division. Okay, now let's talk about some symbols. What does the word is mean in a symbol? Like if I say 5 plus 5 is 10, equals. Okay, is greater than. Greater than symbol. Is less than would be the less than symbol. Now the key word here is the word is. Okay, if I say 5 greater than x, that's just x plus 5. But if I say 5 is greater than x, that's 5 is greater than x. Do you see the difference? If the word is there before it, we're talking about an inequality symbol. If it's not there, we're just talking about addition or in this case, subtraction. All right, what does the word double mean? Times 2. I must have enlarged this bigger today because I didn't have this much trouble writing in it. Okay, what does triple mean? Times 3. Squared. Right, when you raise something to the power of 2 is when you're squaring it. Okay, what does half mean? Okay, right, if you do like 1 over 2 times x, aren't you taking half of x? Or sometimes we just do x divided by 2, and that's the same thing. So 1/2 times x and x divided by 2 are the exact same thing. They will give you the same answer. Okay, what does twice mean? Twice? Like if I say I'm going to do something twice, I'm going to do it 2 times, right? So you're multiplying by 2. That's another times 2. Okay, and then what does cubed mean? X cubed, right. Okay, so go ahead and fill those in. Okay, and then we're going to be filling in the page next. It says hints and tricks. It was one of the cut pages. Okay, everybody finished filling in this page? Okay, so hints and tricks. All right, when you see the phrase, the sum of something and something, or the difference of something and something, or the product of something and something, or the quotient of something and something, right here in the place of and is where you insert the operation symbol. Yeah. So where the and is where you will insert the operation symbol. So like if it's the sum, what would you put in the place of and? Plus. If it says the difference, you would put a what in the place of and? Minus. If it says the product, you would put a times, or sometimes when it's times, you don't put a symbol at all, right? You just put them side by side. And then quotient, we would put division, right? Because quotient is division. So, let's do an example. The quotient of a number and 5. We just talked about the fact that quotient is division. And you're taking the quotient of a number, which is an unknown number. So what do we use for an unknown number? A variable, and most of the times, yes, we use x, and then and 5. Now, in high school, we don't really write division this way anymore. Instead of doing x divided by 5, we just write x over 5. Okay, hint number 2. The phrase something more than something or something less than something means it will always go at the end. And that will make more sense once I show you an example. Okay, and this is one that every year students have a problem with, so make sure you're paying attention. Okay, the example says 5 less than a number. Okay, well, we know it's going to have a 5 in it, and the 5 is less than a number, but it doesn't say 5 is less than, so we're not using a less than symbol, we're using subtraction for less than. But is it 5 minus or minus 5? But don't you need to know what the 5 is less than? So it's x minus 5. The 5 is less than the number. So the number needs to come first, because then you'll know 5 is less than that number. Does that make sense why it has to go at the end? Because you need to know what the 5 is less than, and it's less than this number. So the number has to go in the front. Okay, next hint. When you are doing something to the sum, difference, product, or quotient, you always put parentheses around the operation. And we'll talk more about what that means in an example. Okay, so whenever you're doing something to the sum of two things, or the difference of two things, or the product or the quotient, you put parentheses around the operation. So let's talk about what I mean by that. Twice the sum of 7 and a number. Well, what does twice mean? Times 2. Well, what are you multiplying by 2? The sum, which is what operation? Addition. And what are you adding? 7 and a number. Okay, well, are we just doing twice 7? Do we just put multiplication right here and multiply 2 times 7 and then put x? What are we actually twicing? What are we multiplying by 2? The entire sum, right? So when you're doing something to the sum, put parentheses around the operation. You're multiplying the entire sum by 2. So you put that in parentheses showing that all of that's being multiplied by 2. Does that make sense now? Because otherwise, it would just look like you're multiplying 7 by 2 and nothing else. But we're multiplying the entire sum by 2. So the entire sum goes in parentheses and the 2 on the outside. All right, now let's look at these practice ones down bottom. 12 less than the product of 5 and a number. Okay, how do we write 12 less than? 12 minus or minus 12? Minus 12. Because we need to know what the 12 is less than, right? And it's less than what? Okay, what times 5? So how do you write the product of 5 and a number? Do we ever write x5 though? 5x. Okay, so there's your product, your multiplication between 5 and a number, and then it's 12 less than that, so you take 12 off of it. The difference of a number and 3 plus 1. Okay, well, what does difference mean? Of a number and 3 plus 1. Difference is subtraction. Well, what are you subtracting? I know, but what are you doing the difference of? A number, which would be x, and 3. So is that it? Are we just adding 1 to the 3? We're adding 1 to the difference, which means the difference operation needs to go in parentheses. Okay, that's this hint up here. When you are doing something to the difference, always put parentheses around the operation. So we put parentheses around the difference of a number and 3. Then we add 1 to it. All right, 9 less than a number is 18. How do we write 9 less? Minus 9 and then the number. Because you got to know what the 9 is less than, so the number comes first. Remember, that was the first hint up top. If the phrase has more than or less than, the number will always go at the end. Because you got to know what it's more or less than, so the number has to be in the front. Equals 18 is what is 18 means. Okay, now we're going to be doing the page that it's basically on the back of the page we just did. It's got like a 2-column chart. Okay, so this page. So we're just going to do some more practice. The square of x added to y. How do you write the square of x? X to the power of 2, x squared. Added to y. How do we write added? How would this be added to y? But you're adding it to the y, so wasn't the y already there first? Now, since it is addition, and we all know that addition is a commutative property and can be done in any order, it would be okay had you wrote plus y on the end. Because adding doesn't matter what order we do, right? Or multiplying, right? Okay, they're both commutative property. You can do them in either order and you still get the right answer. But according to this phrase, it's being added to the y. So I put y first and then I add that to it. Okay, twice of n minus m. What does twice mean? Okay, so what are we multiplying by 2? N. So 2 times n minus m. Okay, you with us? Okay, 23 less than the sum of a and b. How do we write 23 less than? Right, and the 23 is being minus from what? A and b? Or a plus b? Is that the final answer? Right, we are not just subtracting 23 from b, we're subtracting it from the sum. So you put the entire sum in parentheses. Y'all getting the hang of it? Alright, the product of 10y and z. What does product mean? Multiplication. And aren't you just multiplying all three of those things? How do you write that? But you're doing the product of 10y and z, so all three of them. So wouldn't that just be 10 times y times z, and you don't have to write times? Alright, twice the sum of a number and 20. What does twice mean? Okay, what are we multiplying by 2? Okay, but what do we put in the place of that? And. Plus, because it's a sum. And remember, and always gets replaced with the operation, and sum means plus. So a number plus 20. So is that it? Parentheses. You're multiplying 2 by the entire sum, not just by the x. And had you not put parentheses, it would have just been 2 times x plus 20. But it needs to be 2 times x plus 20, the whole thing. Alright, 5 less than 5 times a number. How do we write 5 less than? Minus 5, right. And what is the 5 less than? So 5x. Alright, 11 is subtracted from the sum of a number and 20. How do we write 11 is subtracted from? Minus 11, because it's being subtracted from something, so that something needs to go in the front. And what is that something? X plus 20, right? And then look, you're subtracting 11 from the sum, so the sum of those needs to be in parentheses. You're not just subtracting it from the 20, you're subtracting it from the sum, and to show that, the sum has to be in parentheses. Alright, 6 times g diminished by the square of h. How did we write 6 times g? Just 6g. You don't actually have to put the multiplication symbol, right? We didn't use this word yet, so we're going to have to add it in. Where will we add it into? Subtraction. Diminished means subtraction. And then what are we subtracting it from? Or h squared, because the square of h. So go ahead and flip back to the subtraction box and add in the word diminished. Okay, and then we'll be doing that last page, translating phrases practice. Not yet. I'm not done teaching. Okay, has everybody finished copying this? Okay, let's look at the last page then. Okay, since we have a little bit of time, I'm going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes to try these by yourself before I go over them. Okay, let's see what y'all got. 15 more than the product of a number and 7. What do you think? Yeah, 7x plus 15. You're adding 15 more than the product, which is multiplying a number and 7. And even though they did say number first in the statement, anytime you're multiplying a number and a variable, we put the number in the front. So 7x, 7 times the number. The sum of 8 and a number is 20. How do we write that? Well, but you're adding 8 and a number. So you're adding 8 and the unknown number, and then that equals 20. Twice the sum of 23 and a number. Okay? How did y'all write that? Right? 2 parentheses, because you're multiplying twice the sum of 23 and a number. Okay? Now, if you had everything except for you put x here and 23 here, technically that's still okay because it's addition, and addition can be any order. And 2 on the outside over here. Bring it to me so I can see it. All right, 17 less. How do we write 17 less? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, right. And what is the 17 less than? X divided by 4, because that's the quotient of a number and 4. Okay, but look, this is the key word, is, which means now we're using the less than symbol too. See the difference? This one just said 17 less than, so that's subtraction. But down here it says is less than, which means we're using the less than symbol. All right, 1/3 of a number plus 4. How do you write 1/3 of a number? 1/3, but of means multiply. So multiply by a number. Plus 4. You're doing 1/3 of a number, which means 1/3 times a number plus 4. Triple, which means times 3. Okay, and what are we tripling? Right. Right. You put parentheses around the difference because you're tripling the whole difference. What comes first? 44 was listed first. And in subtraction it matters because subtraction is not commutative. It cannot be done in either order. Okay, now that you have it filled out, the way you put your little book together is you're going to insert the cut page. Insert it right in the middle, and then the basically line up on the, they'll line up like that. And you're going to get a stapler off of either her desk or my desk, staple edges as close to the edge as you can, then glue it down to page 30. That can just be thrown away at this point. The word list can be thrown away. Yeah, that goes inside. You close it and staple it, yes.